live?
And
Are we live yet?
it says I'm live. It says we're live. We did it with a little
Are we
help.
live
God,
yet?
it worked. It's a miracle.
Are we?
I get by with a
Are we
little
live
help
yet?
from my friends named Night Strike.
My phone
So
just
at
beeped.
the
It's
bottom,
okay,
at the
bro.
bottom right, if you want to have the Brady Bunch view, for your screen, and or any of the participants want that, just click the toggle tile view at the bottom right of the screen. It's the squares on the left of the eye.
And if I don't want that and I leave it on the other view, then whoever
it doesn't
talks
matter.
is going to take up the screen.
The viewers on YouTube won't see the tile view. That's just they won't see it. So
Okay, so the people, this is awesome. I'm learning as you're listening, kids. I'm learning too here. This is our
for
first
someone who ignored
successful.
my text message about GunTube when I was doing the Indiegogo.
You're not live on YouTube, man.
No, I just got the notice that we
I
are.
feel like we're live. Are we live?
Yeah, we're
It
live.
showed up on my
Okay.
phone. So,
Yep.
yeah, we should be. It
Yeah,
might take a few
just,
seconds to push through. So
We are.
there's a delay. Just like us, we all have.
It says
feel
you are
like we're
because my
live.
beautiful wife is over here watching. She watches the YouTube feed as you're listening, kids. I'm learning too here. Hold on. This is I've
This
got
is
to.
My text
Oh, I'm
message
muted.
when I
Somebody's
was
not muted.
doing Indiegogo.
You're not live on YouTube, man.
He is on my
Yes, he is.
screen.
It showed up on my phone. Yep. Yeah.
All right, somebody needs to mute their YouTube feed.
There's a delay. Just like us, we all have.
It says
feel
you are
like we're
because my
live.
beautiful wife is over here watching. She watches the YouTube feed.
Who's B?
You're listening. I'm learning too here. Hold on. This is I've
This
got
is
to
My text
hold
message-
on, hold everything. I don't.
Not me.
Oh,
On
it's
YouTube.
Blitz. Blitz, your.
Awesome.
There we go. Now I'm not hearing us.
You-
We're coming.
you- not me.
We're coming through on the YouTube side, and I'm hearing it in my ears, and I don't know if everybody else heard it. Okay, technical difficulties notwithstanding, we are live. It is Tuesday night, and welcome to the Get Off My Lawn podcast. This is live entertainment at its best, isn't it? So, all right. This is a real podcast. We're real people. We make real mistakes, and we don't hide
You made
that
a
stuff
big
from
one.
you.
You made a big one.
I've never seen Night Strike in person, so I don't know if he's a real person.
I've met him in person. He's cool.
He is. He's very handsome.
I've never met you in person, so I don't know if you're a real person.
I'm
You could
very
just be
real.
If we're gonna go down that road, then
Each other.
Very, very.
we don't
real.
even know
I'm
if
your
you're
worst nightmare,
real.
man. I'm your
We
worst
just-
nightmare.
we know that you're real orange obnoxious, and that's all we know. So,
Here we
We're all in
go.
the Matrix.
I'm on camera.
see,
There we
Night
go.
Strike has a face.
Look at that.
There
Look
we
at that. It
go.
looks like a young Rob Reiner, but he's pro
And,
too.
and look at that. You've even got that trimmed up all nice and sexy for ladies.
Yeah. Who's
So-
a lucky lady,
Yeah.
bro?
So,
You can
ladies, Night Strike is
tell.
single. He's
Night Strike is available. So if there are any gun gals out there that need some loving, Night Strike is there.
he's Pisces. He likes long walks on the beach,
No,
pina coladas, and getting caught in the rain.
Virgo.
He
I'm
tells
not
the
a
ladies,
Pisces,
if
I'm a
you like it, you should have
Just
put a
go with it. He
suppressor
likes
on
long walks to the gun store.
Yep.
He likes pina coladas and getting caught in the rain. That's Night Strike for
If you liked it, then you should have put a suppressor on it.
you. Nice.
Suppressor on it. Oh.
Now, I have to
That's
say
what he tells all
this.
the women's. That's what he tells the
I have to
women's.
say this since it's the chat. Get off my lawn!
That's right. That's
There we
right.
go.
Oh yeah, we've got the. I didn't even switch hat. I've got the Get Off My Lawn patch on the hat right here. But tonight, at least I'm cool on the internet. So I could have. Where did I put it? I've got it right here. Brought to you in part by GunTube.
Woohoo! I'm
There
still
you
waiting
go.
for mine to show up. I don't know. I thought
No.
it was an ex-CEO or something. I don't know.
You got to know somebody. You got to know a guy. Plus, you got to win a 2A patch batch. I got a lot of cool patches in that. So. All right, enough tomfoolery and shenanigans. We are going to introduce everybody who has joined us. You guys have been sitting through this long enough. All right, so we'll just start with the people on the right side of my screen over here. From the bottom, we'll work our way to the top. So Gizzard Gary is the very bottom avatar over here. Gizzard, what's up, man?
Sorry about that. Yeah, doing pretty good. Thanks for the invite. You cut me with a bite of food in my mouth, man.
Doggone it! It never fails, right? You think you're safe.
Yeah, I figured I was one of the third or fourth ones. Like, oh shoot, me first. Thanks for the invite.
That'll happen. That'll happen. Thanks for being here.
Get off my lawn.
Give them the bird. All right. Next, we've got Travis P11, the king of the Travi.
Well, I refused to do a Hellcat test, and so I went ahead and bought a Taurus G3 instead, so that'll be coming to the channel. Guys, you got to check these out. They're awesome. Also, we'll be giving away a 224 Valkyrie upper when I hit 20,000 subs, if I ever hit 20,000 subs, and I'll be watching for the promo video on that. It's real easy. You leave a comment on the video, and that's it. You're going to be entered in the drawing. Otherwise, check out my YouTube channel, Travis P11. And to support everybody on this panel tonight, I want you guys to go subscribe to their channels. They're all good people.
Yeah,
that's it, man.
Yep. Bunch of excellent people here. All right, next up, we've got Mr. Kingpin.
Good evening, sir. Thanks for having me.
You bet. Thanks for being here. And as we've already established, next up, we've got the man who's easier to pick up than a 7-10 split. We've got the one who strikes at night.
Am I?
I don't know. You seem a little desperate there.
I don't know. Well, I know that those gun gals are just as lonely as I am. So I got to get myself out there.
That's true. You just got to get yourself out there. That's right. He's an entrepreneur and he owns his own business. So,
but again, we're working on GunTube. Things are happening. Redesign and new software. I'm still working on that. But again, I've shipped out a ton of packages today. So if you were part of the Indiegogo, your packages might be on the way.
Cool.
So.
All right. Nothing says loving like something from Night Strike.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Moving right along. We'll get introduce everybody else and say hi. So we've got Obnoxious One. What's up?
I did not have a negligent discharge today, so I got to say today was a good day.
Yay!
Yay!
Any day without an ND is a good day.
Yeah, didn't have to use your AK.
I'm aware of your video. I have not yet watched the video today, but I will. I'll be checking that out too. And let's all learn from somebody else's mistake. All's well that ends well, right? But
yep.
But yep, it can happen.
Multiple safety rules.
It can happen to any
Multiple
one of us.
Safety rules.
All it takes
is
is
relatively safe.
All it takes is just one half second of not concentrating, and something bad can happen to any one of us. So safety is no accident. All right, moving right along. We've got he's a nice guy once you get to know him. Squibload.
No, I'm not.
Okay, no, he's not. But I didn't want to call him an a-hole during his intro. So
hey, but at least he's honest, and that's what's important. So
that's right. That's right.
For good or for bad, that's the way I am. Usually, it ends up
better
for bad.
for worse.
Yep.
Here's the thing, though. I know several people. You're not the only one, Squib. I know a lot of people who are who they are. They say what they mean, and they mean what they say. They don't sugarcoat anything for anyone. And it's easy to label somebody like that an a-hole, but the truth is they're just being honest. And I think the world needs some more of that. So
yeah,
I'm
but
okay with
the label. Words don't hurt.
I know. Forklifts do. So
forklifts do, and I have to say, Forklift Guy is our unsung hero of the night.
It's not a forklift that's going to get me this time. I'm up on a ladder right now. Oh, maybe I shouldn't be.
Oh, falling doesn't hurt either. It's that abrupt stop at the end that really gets you.
OSHA's just a myth. They don't do anything.
Especially when the forklift crashes into your ladder.
If you got your ladder propped up on the forklift forks. So anyway, okay, no factory workers were harmed in the filming of this podcast. Last but certainly not least, we have got a newcomer, new guest. This fella's been holding it down out in the chat for some time now, and regularly also comments on my stuff on Facebook. So welcome to the big show, Blitz.
Thanks, John. Thanks for having me on. Glad glad to know all it takes is a little flattery to get on your live chat.
Yeah, well, when you hit on me like that, I mean, flattery gets you everywhere, man.
You did look pretty suave.
Sandhill, I thought you mentioned something about Skybox tickets to a Husker game or something. I thought that's what the exchange was. Is that no?
Well, I've got no tickets for anything yet. No.
Oh, okay, my bad. All right, okay.
Sandhills told me he was gonna send some USGI AR-15 Max my way.
Yeah, I didn't. No, I didn't.
I have no recollection of that, Senator.
I see that.
It depends on what the definition it is.
Okay, Enron.
All right, moving right along here. We're going to say hi to everybody out there in the chat because it looks like the notifications have gone out now. So holding it down in the chat, also just off my left shoulder at this undisclosed location known as the Sandhills Media Empire, we've got my beautiful bride, Sandhills Sweetheart. We've got yours truly out there in the chat. Tennessee Gun Guy, 2 Live Moo, Jay Brown, Gun Loving Grandpa, Mike is out there, other Travis is out there. Who else do we have? Patriot, I see you. Blitz is doing double duty. Kingpin's doing double duty. 9mm, 7 Wonders. Scrolling through here, Georgia Trucker 69. Gizzard's out there doing double duty. Who have I missed? Obnoxious was the first one here, it looks like, as I scroll halfway through this. SS Pawns in the house. What's up, Stan? I believe, Travis, that you said your new pistol came from
G3.
SS Pawn. Is that right?
Yep. That's what I went through.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Check out SS Pawn, Lexington, Nebraska, for all your firearm needs. We've got, who else do we have? Kinky's out there. New York Outcast. I'm sure there's going to be people that I miss. The Tacta Dill Pickles out there. Calaveras. Night Strike doing double duty. Man, we've just got a little bit of everybody. And a different obnoxious one. Looks like possibly, I'm not sure what's going on with that writing.
Yeah, but we only
all right. So if you are out there watching us
it's a Russian bot.
It's a Russian bot. If you're out there watching us on YouTube and you're not commenting, please do so. At least say hi. We want to know you're out there. We want to know you're watching so that we can say hi to you. So, hey, we've got a new face joining us.
Pickle Boy.
Tacta Dill Pickles in the guys. Go ahead and say hi, and if there's anything you want to mention real quick. Hey, Sarge is out there in the chat.
I just want to say thanks for the invite.
Thanks for joining us. How have you cooked any of that bear meat yet?
Not yet. That's for plan on getting a meat grinder so I can make most of it into either burger or sausage. But I am keeping the back straps intact, so that's where those are going to be steaks. I
was just gonna say, if you need any Christmas ideas, I do wear a size 12-ounce bear steak. So I'll give you the shipping address.
I can use a nice California bear steak myself.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's where I didn't get a ton out of that bear, partly because of my inexperience as a butcher. But yeah, that's where I'm not going to have a whole lot to be sharing around. Sorry, guys.
Well, that's all right. You enjoy it. We'll enjoy it vicariously through you. At least post up a video with some cool recipes or something so that we can at least see you enjoying it, and we'll just imagine how good it is. So
yeah, sure. That's where if a fry cook can do videos, I'm sure a pickle can too.
Pretty sure.
Exactly.
Pretty sure you're right.
Exactly.
So Kingpin's throwing you shade out there in the chat. Says you maybe just should have shot a bigger bear, but it sounds like this bear was big enough hard enough to put down. You guys had to do a full mag dump and everything else just to put the thing down. Shot it with one of those 50 caliber AR-15 rifles that weighs as much as 10 boxes, I think, just to kill it.
10 moving boxes.
10 moving boxes that you might lift or that you might be moving. Yeah, I don't know. But I think the ammo for those things should not be out on our streets. So, just saying. All right, we're going to jump into this chat tonight, and we've goofed around here trying to get the chat going. I'm sorry we were late, but we did make it. So we're going to throw this concept out here, and I just kind of want to see what everybody else thinks. I've heard this kicked around a few different places around the interwebs, and I want to talk about toxic masculinity. And the reason I want to talk about this is because my own personal theory is that true masculinity is not toxic, and the toxic behavior is not truly masculine. So what I mean by that, we're not going to get into like the Gillette commercial or any of that, but everybody kind of has an idea these days of what toxic masculinity is. And when I think of it, I'm thinking of like somebody from the what is it, Jersey Shore, the dudes, with all the muscles that go out there and pick up all the girls or go out to the clubs and try to be players and all that. Objectify women, the pretty girl walking,
boys, right?
Well, yeah, that too, or a pretty girl walking past a construction site, being subjected to cat calls and wolf whistles, all that kind of stuff. That to me is the toxic masculinity. Now, where sometimes that gets conflated is when my wife and I are walking down the sidewalk. It's just a natural thing. In fact, she's told me that, and I didn't pay much attention to it. I wasn't thinking about it at the time. But on our first date, as we're walking around and going down the sidewalk, she noticed that I positioned myself between her and the street. That's just something that I was taught to do from a young age. It's a chivalrous thing to do. That it actually the practice began back in like old England, where there wasn't room to build out. There was only so much room in the town, so you built up, and every layer that you added onto a building, you built it, a little bit further out. So when you threw your garbage out, it cleared the level below and landed in the street. So the idea behind this, believe it or not, is so that a gentleman would walk out there, and if anybody threw their garbage or their chamber pots out the window, that he was the one that got dumped on and not the lady. So those of you that walk on the outside of the sidewalk and don't know why, that's actually why. We don't have to worry about that. Thank goodness today, unless you're in San Francisco, you don't have to worry about human waste every place you walk. But there's a lot of things. Opening doors, which is something, again, in Nebraska, people do that. Open the door or hold the door for someone as we're coming through and they're coming behind us. Oh, yeah. We don't think anything of that. That's just how we still work out here. But to me,
do you remember to say thank you after they hold the door open for you?
I thank people all the time.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
That's the thing. They still do that down here in South Carolina, where people will hold the door for you, or will open the door for you. But again, when they do that, I make it a habit to always thank them, because if you don't thank someone for doing that for you, then your city, your state is going to turn into like New York, where everybody just would as soon as spit on you than help.
Yeah, and that's something that I've seen in other parts of the world that or other parts of the country anyway. When we've traveled, is that common courtesy isn't all that common anymore. So kind of what I want to first, we're just kind of give everybody a chance to go around the horn. And when you think of the toxic masculinity, what else comes to mind that hasn't, that I haven't mentioned or somebody else hasn't already said? So we'll start up here at the top with Dale, and then we'll just kind of go down through the room here. So when you think, or when you hear toxic masculinity, what do you think of?
I guess maybe some of it's the overly ego, overly macho, always has to try to prove better, whatnot, not necessarily for the sake of improvement, just to try to prove that they're somehow superior. I guess what would also fall into that category for me.
The guy that thinks he's an alpha and wants the whole world to know it.
Exactly.
Gotcha. Okay. All righty. Blitz, what comes to your mind when you hear such a word or such a phrase?
When I hear something like that, I think more 1950s masculinity, where a woman should be in the kitchen and that kind of thing. I think in modern terms, it's more of just a political word.
What is it? Is it Hills Brothers coffee ad where he's got her turned over his knee because she didn't buy the right coffee or the right instant coffee or whatever?
Yeah,
that was an actual ad campaign.
Kind of that's pretty toxic.
I think it could be
the true term.
I would concur with that. Squiv, if you're at a point where you can talk, toxic masculinity, what does that mean to you? Or what do you think? What, not necessarily, we won't dig into it yet, but just when you first hear it, what do you think of? And maybe Squib's not at a point where he can talk.
Can you come back to me last, please?
Can do.
Thank you very much.
All right, we'll move to obnoxious.
What do I think when I hear toxic masculinity?
Yeah.
I think that I need to find somebody else to talk to, because if somebody's talking to me about toxic masculinity, I really don't want to talk to them. That's probably just my toxic masculinity speaking, but
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. As much as that's for just looking in the mirror, right?
Mm-hmm. I think it's a made up term to make us all ashamed to be men. So yeah.
Well, and I don't disagree with you. We'll get there, but don't get ahead of me. So just when you think of toxic masculinity, what kind of images does that bring up in your head, though? Like, is anything that hasn't been mentioned as far as the typical person or behavior patterns that have earned that name?
What they're actually meaning by toxic masculinity, or what they usually throw it out as, because everyone in this panel.
Were you to say it? Were you to get into that conversation with somebody? I guess just we all kind of. I think maybe I'm the only one. I form a mental image whenever I hear something, and I mean, yeah, it's the guy in the in the tank top with the muscles and lives in the gym and only cares about picking up girls, doesn't actually care about settling down and finding a good one. It's more just a matter of, how many different girls can he pick up, within a year's time or his lifetime or whatever. So I didn't know if anybody else has other mental images when we, because I kind of want to establish what is toxic masculinity to us, and then we're going to come back through and define masculinity, what we think that is, if it's different. So that's why I was asking. We'll move along to Night Strike.
If you're gonna press me, I'm probably gonna go to Gym Bros, just like you're talking, with the schmedium shirt and living in the gym. So there you go. You got me. You got me. You made me now, to what toxic masculinity means to me.
Before we trigger anybody, we're not coming down on anyone that works out. So okay, moving right along, we'll go to Night Strike.
I'm going to be a Debbie Downer here, but I don't believe in toxic masculinity. Okay. I don't believe that masculinity can be toxic because, as far as I'm aware, there are only two genders in the world, and anybody that says different is either a moron or mentally deficient.
All right. Well, don't sugarcoat it. Just tell us how you really feel, would you please?
There you go.
Would you rather be, a man and stick up for yourself, or would you rather have your wife tell you what to do no matter what? And you don't even argue with her.
Well, you only say that because you're not married.
I only say I'm not married, but
I would rather stick up for myself, but I know better.
But the point is that you and Travis, yes, you guys are married, but you argue. Don't tell me you guys don't have arguments, because every marriage you have arguments. But at the same time, there are males that aren't masculine and are beta, and they'll just let their wives basically run their entire lives for them.
And that can be quite toxic too.
Exactly.
There is also a certain amount that men tend to like to sleep indoors, so they may argue, but they also have to moderate that a bit.
That's right. That's right.
I'm not saying you guys don't need to find middle ground and try and get over whatever differences you're having in your arguments. I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying that every marriage has at some point you guys are going to have a disagreement. What skill that disagreement's going to happen, it doesn't matter. It's not important. Hell, maybe the disagreement in itself isn't important. It's over small stuff. But the point is, there are some men that aren't masculine at all and just take it and don't even argue with their wives. And,
Okay, yes, Night Strike, I 100% agree. I'm also messing with you.
I know. But, I'm trying to take a position here, okay? So just follow me.
Okay. All right. And we're gonna circle back around to some of the things that you've said too.
Yeah. So
because I'm not in disagreement with you. But I'm going to roll through here. We've got 3 more people. So I'm going to move over to Kingpin and see if you have anything else that you want to help paint that picture.
As far as painting the mental picture, I pretty much agree with everybody else, but I don't give the term toxic masculinity any credence whatsoever. But I would agree on the mental picture with just about everybody else.
All right. Travis?
I think it's a term that was created to make men feel guilty for being chivalrous or being a gentleman or being the one that puts himself between the garbage falling out of the window and the street. Or I think it's a term created to just overly sensitize men and make them feel guilty for being boys and men. I mean, look, toxic masculinity is not little boys roughhousing on the playground. Toxic masculinity is not wanting to be the one that wants to take care of the family. Okay. And I'm not saying there isn't equality in the family. I'm just saying that I think it's designed to turn us into little puppies with our tails stuck between our legs and be obedient and not be equals. Okay. That's what I really think it is. I think it's a term created to make us feel guilty for being men or just being guys or men. And I'm not talking about being a meathead frat boy that's giving girls, like, stuff to knock them out, take advantage of them, right? That's not what I'm talking about. I'm saying just being men,
And you've said a couple things there that I want to come back to as well. But first, we'll let Gizzard have a chance to throw anything else in there.
Well, I don't know if this is a definition of toxic masculinity because, for one, I, like everybody else, I don't really believe that. But there are some things that testosterone-laden males do that are kind of funny, irritating, at least out of my workspace. What is it? And I know I'm going to upset some people here, so I'm kind of take this tongue in cheek here. But what is it with all these city slickers? These city slickers who think they need to buy these 3/4 ton 4-wheel drive pickups with the dualies on the back and take up 1.5 parking spaces out in the parking lot. Just
they're
so
compensating, dude.
Cool. Yeah, they're compensating. I mean, if you're a farmer and you need it, that's one thing, or if you pull a trailer, but if you're just doing it to be cool.
I'm going to send this message out.
And they don't even know how to drive the darn things.
I'm going to send this message out right now to any single ladies that are out there looking for fellas, especially if you're looking for the country boy type of fellas. And I know there's a lot of girls out there that are looking for country boys. So here's something I want to... Farmers only. You don't have to be lonely. The thing is that not everybody. Sometimes people actually pull trailers, and need a pickup like that. That's fine. I get it. If you don't have a trailer and you still have the big pickup, or it's got 16 inches of lift or whatever, chances are that dude is either a poser or he's compensating for something else. And I'm not talking just physically. Any shortcomings there, but I'm just talking about he doesn't feel like he's already a big man. So sometimes we compensate in other areas of our lives. It can be not just physical, it can be emotional or things like that. So here's my advice, ladies. If you want to find a secure, confident man, get that dude that is driving a smart car because he's not compensating for nothing.
I have a Silverado and a Miata.
There you go. There you go.
And I'm taken. But here's the other thing, though. Let's not hate on people that are pickup truck enthusiasts. I mean, there's
Oh, of course
stuff
not.
I've kind of done to my Jeep a
No.
little bit, and I'd love to jack it up 5 or 6 inches. I don't have a need to because, well, we have no elevation where I live. But I'm just saying that, there's people that are enthusiasts. They want to put the alloys on the truck. They want to jack it up. They want to put a loud exhaust on it. They want to enjoy it. It's just like people that hop up a car. We're just saying that there are people that do it because of insecurity, because I think it makes them a bigger man, not because they're really a truck enthusiast, right? Because I see those trucks. I'd love to have one. I wouldn't want the payment, but I'd love to have one. But what kind of a statement are you sending? No, enjoy them. That's what it's about. But it depends on your personality and why you did what you did.
I once had a young lady ask me if I've ever gone mudding. And I thought for a second, and I chuckled to myself, and I said, no, I've never gone mudding. I said, I grew up on a ranch. I have buried vehicles, pickups, tractors, you name it. I've buried them in the mud. But when people go find a mud hole just to get their pickup dirty or their Jeep dirty, then that's not an actual country boy. But if they actually work on a farm or a ranch and they take their vehicle through the mud, it's because it's the only way to get to the other side where they're actually needing to be. And sometimes it is a little bit fun to sling a little mud in the process. That's a different story. And I'm not saying if you like to go out and sling mud and get your vehicle completely covered and then, go wash it off and do it again next weekend, power to you. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it. What I'm saying is that there's a whole culture of people that think that that's what it means to be country. And I'd like to disagree with that one too. But we're talking about masculinity here, not talking about country.
I would like to chime in from the cab of my 1-ton diesel 4x4 pickup truck. I think you guys missed what he said. He said, don't know how to park them. Park them in 1.5 spaces. It's not about owning it. It's not about it making up for something. It's about having it and not knowing how to use it.
That's a big step too.
Isn't that what you were trying to say, Gary?
Kind of, yeah.
All right. Because I didn't take offense at all from his statement, because he brought about the whole, taking up 1.5 parking spaces. I know how to drive my truck. So that statement didn't offend me at all.
So Squib's listening to that going, yep, he's not talking about me. Look at that. The shoe didn't fit.
And if he was, I would just back into a parking space and go, you were saying?
Yep, exactly.
I want to begin. There's something I want to start tonight. Let's change the definition of toxic masculinity right now. Let's define toxic masculinity as things that are endangering to being masculine. There we go. That's toxic masculinity.
That's actually the point of this chat, Travis.
Yes,
that is the point of this chat. That's where
let's make masculinity great again. All right,
that's where we're headed with this. That was my whole intent. That was my whole intent. We'll get there.
Amen. Let's do it.
The thing is, now as far as taking up 2 parking spaces, I saw somebody in a Buick earlier today in a parking lot that backed into a parking spot and a half with their car. So just because you have a pickup doesn't matter. You can not know how to drive whatever it is. So okay,
elderly and incapable is different, but yeah.
Now we've kind of talked about the toxic part of it a little bit. So let's not go back through the room, but we'll just roundtable. But let's talk about the things what it really means to be masculine. The things that aren't a bad thing. Because part of too, I think what's toxic, and a couple of you mentioned this, is in our culture today, it really feels like to be a man's man is not only no longer desirable, but it's downright something to be avoided sometimes. That's how I feel sometimes. Is that to be a man's man, to be a true alpha is a bad thing. Like somehow, if I'm secure in my masculinity, if I'm secure in my heterosexuality, that all of a sudden I'm the next victim of the Me Too movement. And by victim, I don't mean somebody touched me. I mean that somebody pointed a finger at me when I didn't do anything. But that's the kind of feeling that I have, is that men today we're kind of expected to give way with the feminist movement and everything else. There's either an equality within a relationship or even a a role reversal almost from the old traditional gender roles of sometimes, the woman is the strong-willed one and becomes ultimately the head of the household, and then there's a man there who does whatever she tells him to do. Now, I'm not saying that the reverse should be the case either. Ladies, if you're with a man and he tells you to do something, you don't have to do it just because he said so. That's not what I mean. But the point is that in my mind, within a marriage or within a healthy relationship, some things are equal, some things are not. And inequality is not a bad thing. When it comes to lifting heavy stuff or killing spiders or picking up baby garter snakes off the kitchen floor that the cat drug in, I am way better at those things than my wife is. So those things are my job to do. Taking out the trash is something that we both do. But typically, if we're both here, then I will be the one to, usually she'll remind me, but I'll be the one to grab the trash, take it out, things like that. There are things that we're good at. We've found out within our marriage that there are things that she's very good at, and it's easier for her to be the one to handle those things. And then we've also found out that more than likely one of these days we'll find something I'm good at and I'll handle that. So, but the point is that we're not equal in every way in our relationship. We both get equal say in what's going to happen. And sometimes we both equally feel strongly in a different way about certain decisions, but that doesn't mean that one of us will tell the other one what to do. That doesn't mean that I expect her to be the waitress of the house, to be the maid of the house, all that kind of stuff. The kind of stuff that I grew up in a house where it was expected that my mom cooked, cleaned, did all that stuff. My dad went outside, worked all day, came in, sat down, left stuff laying wherever, expected it to be picked up behind him. That's not the kind of house that I live in now, and I'm okay with that. But there's just been a push. There's been a push towards not being manly. We're men. We're gross. We blow our noses. We burp. We fart. We scratch. That's what men do.
I'm doing that right now.
You look like the camera's off. It's okay.
You were awesome, dude. Right on, bro.
Sorry. But the thing is, and we all know, in a real man, a masculine man knows that there's a time and a place, right? There's a difference between being a slob or being rude in public. And I mean, there's a couple brain cells that separate us from monkeys, right? Like we don't just do all that stuff right out in front of everybody. Most of us don't. We try not to. But the thing is that sometimes it feels like I should be ashamed to be a man. And I don't like that feeling at all. And that to me is what is the most toxic about the whole concept is that me being a white heterosexual male Christian too, there is it seems like I'm not allowed right now to have any kind of opinion whatsoever about anything.
Everybody hates us.
If you listen to the news, so that's what I want to take back. I want to take back being masculine. I want to detoxify the masculinity because the toxic behaviors, that's not a real man. Not to my mind. So a real man appreciates what he has, and I'm only going to speak from my own perspective. I'm only going to speak from a hetero perspective because I don't know what it's like to be gay. I don't know what it's like to be bi. I don't know what it's like to be trans, any of those other things. So I won't speak to those things. But within a relationship like mine, a hetero relationship, then that's where I'm going to be coming from here. But my wife is every bit as capable as I am, and with some things more capable than I am. She knows how to change tires. She knows how to change oil. She knows how to do a lot of the things. She can open her own doors. That doesn't mean that I think she should. And we've had this discussion her and me, at length even, that when we walk up to a door, I'll tell her, hey, don't reach for that door. I'm right here. I will open it for my girl. Because that's how I was raised. And again, it could be partly a geographical thing or a cultural thing. But in Nebraska, a gentleman opens the door for a lady. I'll hold the door for anybody that's coming up behind me. I will open the door for people that are older than me, male or female. Part of having some manners is what I was taught. And so the fact that I want to do these things doesn't mean I don't think my wife is capable whatsoever. It's quite the opposite. I know she's capable, but I want her to feel special. I want her to feel more important to me than anybody else when we go out. I want her to feel loved and cherished. And that's why I want to be the one to open the door, to be the one to walk on the outside of the sidewalk, to do all these things that I was taught how to do. That's why when I sit down with her at a table, I don't sit there with my hat on because I feel like it's disrespectful to her. And so, any table that I sit down at, I try to take the hat off. But especially if I'm sitting there with someone, if I walk into somebody's house, especially if it's not my own, if it's somebody else's house, then I'm going to take off my hat as a sign of respect to them and their home. There are a lot of things that come from being chivalrous or come from being courteous that, again, today we don't see people doing it. We don't see those guys that aren't manly, masculine men. We don't see them doing that. I sit at a restaurant, even in Nebraska, and I look around the room and I can count how many, I call them real cowboys. A real cowboy won't wear his hat at a table. And I look around the room and I just count to myself how many guys are sitting at a table with their hats on. How many of these guys are not real cowboys? Even the ones that are wearing boots aren't necessarily, in my mind, a real cowboy because they weren't taught manners. And any self-respecting cowboy has respect for other people and knows his manners. So that's kind of where the masculinity thing, to me, it's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing to want to take care of your spouse, no matter who you are. But men, it's not a bad thing to want to be the protector. It's not a bad thing to want to be the provider. It's not a bad thing to want to be any of that. We're wired that way because that's what men traditionally have always done throughout history, except for the last 50 odd years. It's only in recent memory that these things have changed, that these things have been challenged. And if you want my honest opinion, there's a lot of other things that have gone downhill. A lot of these changes haven't necessarily been for the good. There are girls, there are women who are being raised and are young adults now who don't know why a man would open the door for her, who don't know why a man would take off his hat when he talks to her, things like that, or why a man would take his hat off at a table. These things just aren't being taught anymore. So I don't think it's a bad thing. Being masculine is nothing to be ashamed of. Burping and farting and scratching in public maybe should be something to be ashamed of. But the fact is, we're men and we do that. Those are the things that we do. We, as hetero males, we look at women. Now, a gentleman doesn't automatically undress her with his eyes or think about doing unmentionable things, but we notice women because that is how the two sexes were designed. Somebody else mentioned this earlier. I believe there's two different genders, two different sexes. That's it. I believe that you can polish up a penny to any color you want it to be, but it's still going to be a penny. So that to me is what true masculinity, I guess, really is. So
are you sure penny
anybody
is the
that
right,
wants to jump in?
Are you sure penny is the right the example? Because
yes, because I don't want to compare people who have a penis and identify as a woman. I don't want to compare them to a turd, so I'm not going to say polish a turd. No.
Well, you know, MythBusters, but MythBusters prove that you can polish a turd.
I'm happy, but we're not going to compare a human being to that. No.
Okay.
I don't care who they are. I don't care if they believe what I believe or not. I'm not going to compare people to that. No.
All right. I was just making sure because you know.
No, you can shine up a penny, but it's still just going to be a penny.
Okay, just verifying. Okay.
This isn't a natural progression of societal evolution. This is a direct attack, and it's been going on for 20 or 30 years. It's just another step at removing the man from the family unit. That's what it's always been about. That's the most successful attack that the other people, the left, whatever you want to call it, the non-freedom lovers, however you classify them, it's their most successful campaign they've ever had. Removing the father from the family unit, whether that's the man or the daddy or the stepdaddy or whatever kind of male figure. They've demeaned that. That's why they don't teach it anymore, because it's bad. Because 20 years ago, we were convinced that a woman doesn't need a man. And that was the first step. I don't need a man for this. I don't need a man for that. And then it's just progressed unnaturally ever since then to where we have this toxic masculinity. And toxic masculinity is just another step in removing the man from this country.
I believe that is true. Anybody else have anything that they want to jump in and say there?
So the big question is, what do we do about it?
In my mind, it's not an overnight fix.
I mean,
it's not something that we can just do. But here's the thing: is you're in a great position to do something about it because you already work with the young people.
Yeah.
And here's what we do: is we set an example. We teach those of you who have kids. Your responsibility is to teach them the things that they need to know, right? And equip them to make good decisions. You can't make their decisions for them, but you can at least teach them how to make good decisions and how to consider consequences when making a decision. So, and Travis, you work with a lot of people's kids. You can be a role model. You can show them how being a masculine isn't a bad thing, and you can be masculine without how do I want to say that?
Setting a bad example or overdoing it.
You can be masculine without doing anything that is unbecoming, I should say.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
just in our daily lives, man, just set the example. You know, that's all you got to do. Not go out of your way to overdo it, but just to keep doing what we think the right idea of masculinity is. Just keep living that idea, showing it.
Exactly right. I
don't think a majority of women have a problem with masculinity. It's just a vocal minority, like a lot of things.
Well, I think that's true. I think that that's just like saying a majority of women aren't looking for. And again, I'm not meaning to step on toes with this, but the majority of women aren't looking for other women. The majority of women are looking for men or that one man. And so, from what I've picked up from speaking with my wife, with other people, the desirable characteristics aren't the Chris Hemsworth physique or the washboard abs and all that. I don't think anybody would probably have a problem with their man having those things, but that's not what actually is the most important thing to most of the women that I've ever spoke to. It is that sense of security, that sense of confidence. They want a man who they know can get things done. That doesn't mean that he knows how to do everything or that he does everything, to a perfect level. But they want to know that they have somebody they don't have to take care of. And what's awesome is women like my wife, she knows she doesn't have to take care of me, and then she turns around and does it anyway because she's cool like that. So, but that is, the the dad bod is actually becoming desirable to certain groups of women, or certain, I don't know if I want to say age ranges, but there are women who aren't looking for the gym rat, the bro physique or whatever, because they know what kind of attitude comes with that. And so
employment, takes care of the kids, hardworking, mows the lawn, right?
Well, what I mean is the bro physique and the bro, what do I want to say, mentality or whatever. They know the kind of attitude that comes with that. The guy with the dad bod, yeah, maybe he doesn't go to the gym as often as he should. Maybe he eats more cheeseburgers than he ought to, but yeah, he's employed. He is comfortable with himself. I can tell you from comments that my wife has made, I am darn great to cuddle with when it's cold out. So she's often told me that, if I was just bulging with muscles like Schwarzenegger, I wouldn't be as much fun to cuddle with. It wouldn't be as comfortable. So I think
I agree.
Telling that to make me. You leave that night in Tulsa out of this.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
Oh, come on! That night in Tulsa was great. We were all in that room singing.
Not that night strike. I meant the one after.
Oh, hey, I wasn't. We weren't in that room then. I'm just saying.
You don't know what
happened. How can you lie after everything we've been through, Night Strike? How can you lie about this to the American public and not tell the truth about us?
I'm not lying about anything. I mean, we were in that hotel room. Yep. We were singing. We were doing it live. I mean, we were singing to Mrs. Sandhills.
Yes, you were.
Yep.
So I mean, it was a fun night. I mean,
if anybody wants to see that,
talk about?
If anybody wants to see that, go to my videos. It's one of the earliest ones on this channel, and it is what was it, live from the hotel room or something like that.
Man, I don't remember.
You'll see Never Enough Ammo, Travis P11, and Night Strike. They're crooning, they're serenading my wife via speakerphone, because she was on the phone as we were going live. So
he instigated it, by the way. He told us to do it, so we went.
That's true. I did.
Plus, I wasn't drunk, but everybody else were, or at least half of us were drunk.
Nah, that's not true.
Matt was drunk.
Matt
was feeling no pain. Travis was doing just perfect, and you and I didn't have any alcohol.
No, we didn't. No. But we still sang and had fun, because why not? I mean, even though I wasn't drinking when we were at the bar, we were doing karaoke. I still sang. Granted, I didn't go up there by myself because stage fright and all, but still.
Going up there by yourself will get you danced with some chick that you don't want to dance with.
God.
Yeah, that was hilarious.
I'm just saying, it's a good thing.
We just forget that ever happened. I mean,
it's like what else?
We didn't know what to do. We did not know. We thought, okay, do we go up there and block her? Did escort him off? Do we?
Yes.
Where
the heck were you?
we didn't. We were like, wait a minute, what's going on here? And by the time we realized what had happened, the song was over.
We've got married Sandhills trying to sing a song. We've got single Night Strike over there. I mean, this girl was.
Well, Night Strike said something about just watching the train wreck happen. I don't know what that means, but
I just wanted to watch it happen.
Oh God.
Yeah. Anyway, okay, moving on.
Let's not get him in more trouble.
No, God.
We are all very secure in our own heterosexuality. We can make the jokes.
Very.
Yes,
so
exactly.
Hills, a lot of good points have come up, and some of them are things that I believe too. I actually did my first speaking squibbish was on this subject. And in it, I said that I was raised by a strong male figure. I try to be a strong male figure for my sons, and my wife is with me because she wanted to be with a strong male. I think something that might get overlooked is the fact that women bear some responsibility in this too. As much as they want to complain, or society in general wants to complain about these behaviors being unacceptable or toxic, if women keep choosing guys that do these things, they're enabling the men. As much as maybe some feminists want to speak out for all women, and they don't, but they get the loudest voice, right? They get the loudest, they get the most attention. If a woman enables a guy to do this, he's going to keep doing this. And when you're with a woman who says it's okay for you to be a man, I'm not like those feminists out there that are trying to say that you're a bad person. That's the other part of it too. It's okay for your wife or your girlfriend to go, no, it's okay for you to open the door for me. No, it's okay for whatever it is, right? That might be looked upon, frowned upon, even though there's nothing wrong with it. And there are differences between us, and it's okay for both genders to admit there's differences. And we can use our differences as strengths. That's what we do in our relationship. My wife's better at this, and I'm better at that. And, my wife looks to me to be the protector, but that doesn't mean she can't handle a gun, or that I don't think that she's okay when I'm not around. And I look to her to be the nurturer, but that doesn't mean that I don't know what to do if she's somewhere and the kids get sick. It's just I'm not as good at as her, or whatever it is. In my video, I said something about it was 4 degrees out and I was shoveling the snow. And she's in the kitchen cutting vegetables. And some feminist would say, you kept her in the kitchen. No, I didn't. You think I want to be out here in 4 degrees shoveling snow? But I guarantee you, she didn't want to be out there. And that's not to say that there aren't times where she says, I want to shovel the snow. Let me do it by myself because it gives me exercise in the winter. And I feel guilty sitting in there while and I've gone out there. She says, get in the house. Get in the house. It was 4 degrees that night. She was okay with not getting exercise that night. And my wife, she asked me to show her how to change a tire. She wanted me to teach her how to shoot a gun. She knows how to mow the lawn, but I don't like her doing, I'm going to have a broken leg or something like that. I don't like her doing, I don't want the neighbors to see her out there pushing the lawnmower. I'll push the lawnmower, things like that. But I think toxic masculinity really comes down to saying that women can't or girls can't. They can, but if they don't want to, don't twist their arm and make them to prove a political statement. Right. If and the whole thing about throw like a girl, yeah. But there are plenty of girls that, they did softball or whatever in high school and they can throw pretty darn good. I served with women Marines that I would not hesitate to think that they would have my back in a firefight. But on the other hand, I didn't like the idea of women being out on the front lines. I'm not saying that there isn't a time where it might happen, or that you might be in the rear with the gear and they attack the base and you darn well better know how to use a rifle or a machine gun or whatever it is. And some of these women Marines could be very feminine when we're all out in town hanging out, wearing civilian clothes and everything else, but on base, they're tough as nails. My thing was, I know what they'll do to us if they capture us. They'll torture us and kill us. What will they do to our women? That I couldn't handle. And I've actually had some guys jump on me about that, calling me some sort of a sexist, because I didn't think women should be on the front lines because of what could happen. And, okay, maybe I'm an old dog because of that. But once again, I never thought that any of them couldn't handle themselves in a fight. I never had any, and some of them were darn good helicopter mechanics. So it ain't that women can't, but not every woman wants to. And there's nothing wrong with that. And when our society is telling women, you have to dress like a man, you have to, talk like a man, walk like a man, spit like a man, or whatever it was in that Titanic thing, right? Spit like a man. Yeah. And all that, no, you don't have to. Just like a man doesn't necessarily have to be as sensitive. I don't understand these women that want this overly sensitive guy. That doesn't mean you can't be sensitive ever. Maybe it's something that's private between you and your wife when you guys are alone. But out in public, I'm not saying you got to be a jerk either. But I just
Squib, you're hurting my feelings, Squib.
That makes me think of George Carlin.
What's that?
George Carlin said that women always say they want a man who understands them. They want to be understood. They want their man to understand them. He says this is stupid because women don't actually want men to understand them. Women understand other women and they hate each other. It's not good for you to understand. If you're a man, you don't have to understand women because, I mean, the women that do understand each other, how many times have you seen women that just can't stand each other?
There's a lot we can learn from each other on
how to deal with people,
on how to deal with people in general, and we can work together and use our differences as strengths to accomplish a task. Or we can just let society divide us, and then we'll just have this, Gillette making commercials or Budweiser making commercials or whatever.
We're going to have a conversation one of these weeks about that too, just being able to celebrate what makes us all different and being able to talk about our differences without being afraid of it. So that's coming sometime soon too. I want to find a multicultural and multi-ethnic and multiracial panel, kind of like Never Enough Ammo's diversity chat, whatever he calls that. Something kind of like that. I just want to have an actual conversation where we can talk about somebody and say, I'm white, you're black, you're Hispanic, you're female, you're gay, you're whatever. I don't know what it's like to be any of those things, and I don't want to be afraid to talk about it because there's a lot of stuff that I'm afraid to even talk about or ask people because I don't want to be labeled, an evil bigot just because I don't already automatically know these things, which I have no way to ever find out if I don't ask the questions. I've got some great friends that understand that even when I ask questions that may seem like dumb questions, they know that I'm not in any way attacking them. I just don't know what it's like to be a dude that's attracted to another dude. And since I can't wrap my head around it, I have to ask questions. And it doesn't mean that they're any less my friend. It just means that sometimes I'm curious about different things. And everybody keep your mind out of the gutter. That's not what I'm curious about. But just as far as emotionally, intellectually, some of the different questions. And I know that every couple's different, but I mean, at least I have some friends that don't condemn me for not knowing these things. So that's cool. I like my friends. So, but anyway, we'll have that conversation sometime. But it's speaking of masculinity. I don't know what it's like to be in a household or in a relationship where there's two masculine people. I don't know that I would want that. I mean, that's again goes back to why I'm attracted to women. I'm attracted to my wife because she's not masculine.
But that's not what happens in those relationships. I've talked to people, and I've had some friends, and they've explained things to me, and it's almost like there's one that does a masculine role and one that does a feminine role, whether it's two women or two men, and it's like, well, dude, what's the point? But okay, whatever. To each their own. So there, I'll answer. Well, I mean,
I've wondered about that too, but I did just recently see a meme that says asking a gay couple which one's the man and which one's the woman in the relationship is like asking a vegan which part of their salad is supposed to be the meat. So, I mean, I know what you're saying, but at the same time, in a lot of people's minds, the whole point of it is that there's not a man and a woman in a relationship. That's just something that evil, bigoted, straight people like me would wonder. But
anyway. I will tell you this: it's a lot easier to have a conversation with somebody's different, where you can have an open forum and just throw anything out there when it's a one-on-one. But when you're in a group, you can't because somebody will get offended. So don't try it in a group.
Yeah. Well, yeah, maybe not. We'll have some conversations anyway. So, but as far as being masculine, I think Travis asked, what do we do about it? How do we go about changing it? It's going to be a long, slow process, but we lead by example. We set the example of being masculine without being toxic, because there is a distinction in my mind. The two are completely opposite. Anybody who has those toxic behaviors, anybody who is physically or emotionally or verbally abusive, that's not masculine. Anybody who is a bully is not masculine. That's somebody who is usually super insecure, and the only way that they know how to make themselves feel better is to make other people feel worse than them, which never actually makes them feel better. So they just have to keep going, and it's a vicious cycle. But that is definitely not masculine behavior. Masculine people build others up. Masculine people help others out. Masculine people will make others feel better about themselves, not worse, in my mind. So, I think we might wrap things up here before too much longer. So I will let everybody else have a chance to just jump in. And if you have anything else you want to add as far as toxic or masculine or toxic masculinity or masculine toxicity, jump in, anybody that wants to.
You know, if you're in a relationship with somebody that makes you feel bad because you want to be the strong male and stuff, you really need to get that figured out or talk through it or go through some sort of couples therapy or something, because that's really going to create a lot of friction in your relationship. And I can see that happening where, you know, the guy or girl thinks they met that perfect person and they want them to be somebody else. And many times you can't change that person. So you either got to make it work or you got to bail, you know? So I'm just saying, you know, that's something you got to figure out ahead of time, especially if you're getting ready to looking into marriage or something down the road, or you're going to settle down with somebody. Yeah, that's going to be
very good advice, Travis.
It's going to be tough.
Very good advice.
So think before you, say I do.
Very much so. And I mean, we've seen lots of different examples in Hollywood, both on and off screen. But I think about the movie Fargo with William H. Macy's character, who was kind of pushed around by everybody a little bit. I mean, the man looked masculine, but he couldn't stand up for himself. He was constantly being pushed around, and I think another part of masculinity is not looking for a fight, but if one starts, being able to end it. So I think that's another aspect we didn't really cover much, but we need to, if you're a masculine person, you don't start fights, but you don't back down from them. You don't get into a fight that's unnecessary. But if you're backed into the corner, then you come out swinging. There's no other option but to do it. You don't roll over. You don't lay down, just for the sake of you're not able to stick up for yourself, defend yourself, whatever it is. So AA says bullies hate it when you kick their knee backwards. Anybody hates it when you kick their knee backwards.
I mean, unless you need a knee replacement surgery, then that might be okay.
Makes a very good point. Yeah, it makes a very good point. But again, we teach our kids. I mean, we have so many things now in schools about anti-bullying, right? Like, we tell kids don't bully. We tell kids don't bully. We put up signs that say don't bully. Those signs really work, don't they? No matter what the sign says, the sign really keeps whatever it is from happening. Bullying seems like it's worse now than ever. Not that there weren't always bullies, because there always have been. But the fact that it used to be, it was, on your way to school or once you got to school or whatever, or on the playground, that's where the bully was. If you could get through your day without seeing the bully, on the playground or in the hall, then you were good when you got home. Now with social media, you get bullied all the time, 24/7. And when people gang up on other people on social media, I mean, it can get really ugly really fast. So I think today is even worse for bullying. But again, we are not teaching our children that it's okay to stand up for themselves. We are teaching them that you have to just curl up into a ball and go find a safe space and run away.
That's because society says if you stand up for yourself, it's not courage, you're a bully.
Right. And society says nothing about the actual bullies other than stop doing that. That's not very nice. We have a sign that says, don't do that. That's about as rough as it gets for the actual bully.
For a lot of kids, I'll just tell you right now, somebody who works with kids, when you explain to them the consequences of what happens when you do bully, and if the law enforcement getting involved, the school getting involved, I think that might make a lot of kids think twice before they make certain decisions to bully somebody. There's and again, I really am torn with this issue. It really bothers me that if a kid defends himself in a fight, okay, if they don't provoke it, society wants them to lay there and get kicked until somebody rescues them. I don't agree with that. I'm sorry. I know I'm not encouraging kids to fight, but I really don't. The whole assault by mutual consent thing really bothers me, that if my kid's getting wailed on and he throws a punch back to defend himself or kicks away and hits another kid, he can get assault charges. I just don't agree with that. I'm sorry. I think it's ridiculous.
Travis is very right on that. I work at a school too. It's insane.
It just drives me nuts. If it was my kid, I'd be like, no, because by the time a teacher gets over there to split him up, or an administrator makes it over here, your kid's head could be bashed in a linoleum floor, dead. I mean, you only got so much time to help a kid. So I mean, that really bothers me.
Won't help.
He'd say, well, they're just juveniles. It isn't going to matter. No, it does, because there's going to be a fine. There's going to be a punishment, discipline. It just really bothers me that you can't defend yourself if you're being physically attacked by somebody without you being brought up on assault by mutual consent charges. I totally disagree with that. I'm sorry. Yeah.
My son was in his junior year. He was in the hallway and some kid swung at him. He ducked the punch and swung back and punched the other kid. And they sent them both down to the principal's office, and they suspended both of them for 10 days. And I went in there and I said, wait a minute, this is crap. My son defended himself. When I was in school, the principal suspended the guy who started the fight for 3 days. What's this about suspending both kids for 10 days? Well, that's our policy. Well, your policy sucks. I said, let me talk to his dad. We'll handle our kids at home, and our kids need to be back in school tomorrow getting an education. She said, absolutely not. I will not have you be in contact with him. You'll only escalate it. I said, well, I'll do it right here in the office in front of you. I said, if I talk to him, one man to another man, not about whose kid started it or whatever, about us trying to teach our kids right from wrong, and let's just handle this in-house and get our kids back in school. I bet you if he's a real man, he'll be like, I'm all right with that. And then let's get the kids to say they're sorry and shake hands and walk away from it like men. This principal was absolutely against it. Now, somebody could tell me that what I was proposing is toxic masculinity, but I disagree. Real men will get in an argument today, punch each other in the face, and tomorrow they'll go to work together, finish a job, and then after work go have a beer. Those days I know are there. It's another thing that's getting eroded. But I wanted to teach my son how to get over it, get past it, not escalate it, shake hands and walk away. And then the whole online thing started where other kids kept taunting both him and the other kid that whole 10 days they were off, trying to get them to get in a fight the day they both came back to school. And, we had to be preemptive and say, don't do it, don't give in, don't this, don't that. The other kids wanted to see a fight. And my son was getting pretty worked up. He was getting pretty angry. And I said, this is what they're trying to do. I really think it would have worked out better. I seriously would have, and I wouldn't have started a fight with the other kid's dad or anything else like that. I would have talked to him man to man. We're both, in our 40s. We remember the old days where when a bully messed with you, you broke his nose. He never messed with you again, and you didn't get suspended for it. But now, oh no, everybody's got to get suspended. I mean, you talk about the cops getting involved. I mean, what was that where the cop arrested that 6-year-old or 8-year-old a couple weeks ago? I mean, that's just crazy. So yeah, it's getting out of hand, and to tell a female high school principal that real men can get over it and not hold a grudge, it's hard for her to understand, because with women, once you've ticked off the other woman, you're enemies forever. And we're teaching our boys to act like that too. Mm-hmm. Women have their set of rules, like you're saying, the Carlin thing, that, they understand each other and they don't like each other. And men have their set of rules. We can all fight in here today and get along tomorrow or in a couple days. and I'm not degrading women when I say that. There plenty of women out there would be shaking their heads going, yep, that's the way we are. It's just the way it is. And I just it drives me nuts that this person had an opportunity to teach these two young men how to be civil towards each other, and she didn't want to do it because it's not their policy.
Nope, I agree with that. I very much agree with that. All right. Does anybody else have anything they want to throw out before we start wrapping stuff up? Anyone? Bueller?
Dude, this was a solid chat tonight. I think we covered a lot of great topics. I think there's a lot of stuff for people to think about. So,
I think we did.
Yeah.
I threw this out in the chat. I didn't actually get to voice it. I was going to lead off with Toxic Masculinity is actually the new fragrance from Stetson. And you can get that at Walmarts across the country. So, but that was going to be the joke I was going to lead with. And then I completely forgot about it after we got going. Probably because of the technical difficulties, had my mind not on starting the podcast, right? So,
well, they got to put it in a spot where they used to put the 9mm. So what do you expect?
That's true. That's true. Well, that's a great place to put Toxic Masculinity on the shelf too. Is right there in the ammo case where the good stuff used to be. That was super affordable for a range trip. But I digress. All right. Well, we will give everybody a chance to say goodnight. We did lose Calaveras here a while ago because he had to jump out. So if you have not yet gone to Calaveras 32 Special and subscribed to his channel, please do so. He's a cool guy. You can also find him on Facebook. I don't know where else, but I know Calaveras 32 Special is on Facebook, so you can go check him out there too. And have we lost anybody else? I don't think we really have that. If anybody else that's jumped in here, so we will give everybody a chance to say goodnight. We'll start back up here with Obnoxious and give you a chance to sign off. Or not. Did you mute yourself accidentally?
Yeah, I muted myself.
There you go.
I muted myself.
It's okay.
Are we still live?
Yeah.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, we're still live.
Yeah. Okay, go check out my channel. Check out yesterday's video. It was a learning experience for me, and hopefully watching my video will help people not make the same mistake I did. So go check that out. Check my Instagram. You can find me on the Facebook and the Gram and Twitter, except I'm never over on Twitter because it's a cesspool. But you can go over and check me out and follow me over there, whatever. But thanks for having me on Sandhills.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. All right, Blitz, thanks for jumping in the live chat with us tonight.
Thanks for having me, man. I would like to plug Gun Rights for Illinois, the number 4. We're fighting an uphill battle in the state. Surprisingly, not as bad as California. We can still get all the good stuff, but it's an uphill fight. So Gun Rights for Illinois, iGold, and ISRA.
And I didn't realize you didn't have a band hammer, so you've got a wrench now. If you want to drop a link out in the YouTube chat, you go right on ahead and drop one.
Alrighty.
So, all right.
Thanks
for being here, Blitz. All right, Squib.
I guess if anything I said about being old-fashioned ideas, American values, classic American values, or masculinity offended anybody, I don't care.
Chances are, if you are hearing my voice, then you're not offended by old-fashioned American values. But if anything that Squib said offended you, I too don't care. Thanks for being here, Squib.
Thanks for inviting me.
You betcha. Night Strike, thanks for GunTube. Thanks for the GunTube chamber and helping me figure out what I was doing wrong to get this live show on the road.
Yep, you were doing it the wrong way.
That's what I do. I do things the wrong way, and I know things.
And if anything I said on tonight's chat and anything Squib said on tonight's chat that offends you, I don't care. I don't care if you're offended. Get offended. Get angry. Get mad. Get out there and do something. Start living your life. Don't be such a wuss.
All right.
Good words
Thanks.
to live by.
Thanks for being here. Okay, Kingpin.
Have a good night, everybody. Thanks for having me.
You bet. Thanks for being here. Thanks for hanging out, man. We kept you later than we normally do, so thanks for staying up with us.
Yeah, man. I'm glad I could do it.
Me too. All right. Mr. P11, you son of a patuchka.
Hey, thanks, man. I gotta admit, I've had a whiff of toxic masculinity. It is highly overrated. Let's just say that right now. But thanks for the invite, man. I do appreciate it. Check out my channel, Travis P11 on YouTube. Subscribe to everybody on this panel, and I think that's about it, man. So a lot more stuff coming down the channel. So stay watching.
Thanks, dude. Have had a whiff of toxic masculinity. It smells like old gym socks and hair gel.
Ooh.
So,
wow. So it smells like the 90s then.
And beard balm.
Like the 90s. Yep. Beard balm.
All right. Thanks for being here. And last but certainly not least, the tactical rooster, Gizzard Gary. Up, got you mid-type, didn't I?
If I could find that mute button, we'd all be good. Thanks for inviting me again. Chat, whatever you call it. Check out my website at gizzardgary.com. Come and watch Foul Territory Friday nights, 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central. And a shout out of thanks to everybody who's helping me in my efforts to get to SHOT Show this year. I really appreciate all the kind words and the subs out there. Thank you very much. Give them a bird.
Give them the bird. All right. And also, we've got the list. So this is why I say, if you're watching on YouTube, drop a comment down in the chat so that we know you're here, because we want to say hello to you. Because we keep track. My beautiful wife keeps track of everybody that comments so that we can give you the recognition you deserve for making this chat what it is. So, Tennessee Gun Guy, 2 Live Moo, Jay Brown, Gun Loving Grandpa, Mike, Midnight Range TM, Patriot in the Dark, Blitz, Kingpin, 7 Wonders, 9 Millimia, Georgia Trucker, 69, Obnoxious, SS Pawn, Kinky Sphincter, New York Outcast, Calaveras, 32 Special. He is kind of a big deal. Night Strike 1, C4 Defense, Gizzard Gary, Snob's Wife 76, Poor Conservative, Gun Snob, Dangerous Freedom, Joe Smith was in the house, Armament and Axes, Ghost Tactical showed up, Leo Red, Sean Callanan, Boob Sweat, Unknown User, and William Keller. And if there's anybody else that we missed, it's only because you didn't talk enough. So keep those comments going in the chat, and we'll make sure that we get to shout you out and say hello and thank you for joining us. So on behalf of Sandhills Sweetheart and myself, Sandhills Shooter, you can just call me John if you want to. This has been the Get Off My Lawn podcast, the second episode ever. It was hosted on GunTube. So go to guntube.org and check that place out, because when YouTube does finally shut us down, we're still going to have GunTube to fall back on, and we're not going to lose these live chats. We're just going to do them just a little different, that's all. So, so go check out guntube.org. Thank you, all of you, for being here for the chat, for holding on through all the technical difficulties as we got it going. Again, double thanks to Night Strike for helping me find the error of my ways so that next week we don't have to make everybody wait so long. If you are near Washington, D.C. or can get to Washington, D.C. on November 2nd, go to the, I believe it's the west side of the Capitol building, and join the Pro 2A rally that's going to be going on, a national level rally on the Capitol steps. So go check that out. Thanks to Armament and Axes for all the super chats. We do appreciate your support and your love. We love you back. This has been the Get Off My Lawn podcast, and get off my lawn.
Adios, Felicia.